Hello and welcome to TravCon Podcast and TravCon TV. This is Laura Latimer. I am the host of the Traveler Trends section of the TravCon Podcast, where I talk about travel nursing and allied health and what we think the future of our industry might look like. And so we talk with a lot of tech companies and we look at different trends to see where we think we're headed. So here we are at the beginning of 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. So what a good time to talk about predictions. What do I think and what does it look like based on the data that I can see that the trends are going to be for the upcoming year? So here are my predictions, and we will see how many I get right at the end of the year. All right, prediction number 1. I think the job market is going to be really good. It's going to be abundant, and what I mean is two different things. One, the number of jobs are going to go up all over the place. There is a massive need for healthcare workers, especially during this COVID crisis. And so what we're seeing is a big increase in job orders, even some unique job orders. People like a phlebotomist and social workers, and of course our respiratory therapist, and even things like school psychologist or telemedicine, where it's virtual telemedicine for our speech language pathologist in schools. All kinds of unique specialties are suddenly being looked at in the travel industry. And then our common specialties that have always been pretty good in the travel industry also, I think, are going to have a whole lot of jobs this year. And with that, what else I predict is going to go up is going to be the bill rates. I think we are going to see more and more high-paying jobs, and even the normal-paying jobs I think are going to be bumped up from what a normal-paying job was a year ago, and definitely from 2 years ago, is my first prediction. Prediction number 2 is I think we're going to get more unique opportunities in general. I think with this flexible workforce, they're going to need to hire a lot of nurses for things like giving the vaccination. Telemedicine is becoming a lot bigger and getting approved in different ways from insurances in the therapy world and probably other worlds too. So I think we're going to just see an increase in needs in unique settings and unique ways that we might use our skill set this year that haven't even been offered to us in the past. Prediction number 3, I think there's going to be an increase in burnout. Burnout strikes, I think we'll see more strikes in 2021 than we have in a while because of the built-up frustration, the caseloads, the emotional trauma of going to work every day in some of these places because there was a time period of poor PPE and some areas still have poor PPE. There's a lot of different factors that are leading to more of this like hard feelings and tension and need to speak out and stand up for themselves. And so I think there'll be an increase in strikes, an increase of healthcare workers wanting to get away from the bedside and changing careers. And so with that, there's going to be a bigger need than ever for travelers to replace some of these workers that are either striking or actually going to a different job. I also predict along those lines is there's going to be an increase in burnout of our recruiters. I think in the staffing world, those jobs got different in the last year. They had a very hard year in 2020 when the jobs went down and back up and the orders were confusing. The therapy market totally disappeared pretty much for a second, except for the SLPs. And the allied world, our ultrasound techs and things like that, pretty much disappeared in the travel world for a while because they weren't doing elective surgeries during COVID at the beginning. Now, those have come back pretty strong now, which is fine. But same with nursing. Some of those dropped really low and then got really high again. And so what was I even talking about with that? The strikes, the burnout. I just went on a little rampage and forgot why. I don't know. When I listen back to this, I'll be like, Laura, you crazy. All right, let me talk about my next thought is nursing. Oh, here's one for therapy world. The nursing homes, I think, are not going to have the domination they used to. So OT, PT, speech therapy, many times where we are most needed is going to be those skilled nursing homes. But now with the COVID and different changes to reimbursements and insurances, we are seeing more need in home health, definitely more need in schools, and for the first time, need in telemedicine. And so I think while we used to really be dominated by SNF, I still think that will be an abundance of jobs, but we're going to get more and more orders from these other areas, which is really exciting, actually. I think on the, I know what I was going to say before. Oh my gosh, I'm glad it came back to me because I did not finish that thought before. Hopefully you guys stuck with me anyway so you can hear the end of the thought. I think 2020 was really hard on the recruiters and the jobs went up and down, but with recruiters at most companies, they're based on commission. So their pay can fluctuate a lot. And if they lost 80% of their jobs overnight, they lost 60% of their desk, it's a huge pay decrease. Now they're hustling 3 times as hard for less outcome, less job placements for a while. Now all of a sudden it flipped. And there was a lot of layoffs then with companies and consolidations and starting to scramble and be like, oh my gosh, let me start staffing nurses now because they're still strong and Allied's gone. And so it was kind of chaos. A lot of people quit. Some people got laid off. Well, now the market's back. So companies are scrambling to find good recruiters again and train them quickly. And it's hard because there's a lot of demand from the client side, which is the hospitals, and there's not enough travelers to cover that, and it's just a lot of work. Recruiters are working very hard. So I also think there's going to be a high turnover in the recruiter world during this year. It's going to be a tough year, an interesting year, a turbulent year for both sides, our staffing agencies and for the travelers. All right, so I think on the traveler side, my next prediction, I think we might be up to number 5. I think travelers are going to start accepting normal bill rates less and less. So what would have been a totally fine pay package a year ago, I think travelers are going to start demanding more because what we see, and this is usually where travelers get like what is a good pay package, is they go in the Facebook groups and they look at what's getting posted. Well, what do recruiters post in Facebook groups? The top paying jobs. And since there's so many good paying jobs right now, what it does to a traveler's mind is it thinks, oh, these are now normal pay packages. So if you show them a truly normal pay package now, it looks like you're lowballing them. If I'm talking to the recruiters, it looks like the travelers are getting lowballed, even if they're not. But regardless, there's so many jobs out there, they'll take these normal bill rates less and less, and the hospitals have no choice but to raise the bill rates to try to attract more travelers. So I have a hunch travelers are going to be more picky about the pay packages they take, and they're going to be expecting more pay this year because the trend is going up in the pay packages. And for the company side, this will be my last prediction. On the company side, I think companies are probably going to try to staff everything. I think they got nervous. Like there were companies that specialized in just allied health. And when allied health jobs tanked, that's tough to lose 80% of your job orders overnight. So they were scrambling to try to figure out how to staff nursing, appropriately and learn those specialties. And so I think with that, people want more security, the staffing agencies, to know they've got a stream of nurses, allied, therapists, so whatever the market's doing, hopefully it can support their agency and their business. So I think more companies will try to staff it all, and I think we'll see a lot more mergers and acquisitions for companies to team up after such a hard year for multiple reasons. One, team up because, you get a bigger company, you consolidate the back end, you can save money with scale, things like this. But also if one company has a really good technology they're using, another company might want to merge with them to help to use that tech, because we're seeing more and more tech. I do think the trends of recruiter-less companies and do-it-yourself companies and more transparent and using apps and an easier way to search for jobs yourself, these kind of companies I think we'll start seeing more and more of. And so companies probably that are traditional recruitment companies might start baby stepping their way into little pieces of this. And sometimes you do that with mergers. If one has a great tech, you want that tech, you merge together, so now you have the tech without building it. So I think we'll see more companies join forces, so we'll have less companies in the industry as people keep eating each other up, buying each other out. So those are my predictions for 2021. I would love to hear your predictions. Please put them in the comments wherever you are watching this. I want to see them. And next time, join me. I will be interviewing a really cool company in our industry, so please come back and join me next time for Traveler Trends. Thanks, everyone. And again, Happy New Year. Have a wonderful 2021, no matter what happens.
Thanks for listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life. You can find the full show notes below or at travcon.org. Please help us out by rating our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a comment below or email us at podcast@travcon.org.